You're tuned in to a Grown Folks production. In the mix with the commish, Nate.
Heyo, and just like that, welcome to Press Pass Live, your weekly podcast show for the OMFL, the world's longest and oldest online CFM. Going, what are we, 22 years, I think now. Started in 2001 as a PC league, still going strong today as a PS5 league. Let me welcome in my co-host, your commissioner of the Deuce in the Atlanta Falcons, Mr. Maniac. How you doing today, buddy?
Doing well, man.
That's the oh my gosh, why am I drawing a blank? What's his name? Your alter ego. Tony Bono.
Ego.
That was the Tony.
Bono.
That was the Tony Bono tone right there. Listen, real life is happening for both of us right now. Real things are going on. Let me load this music just a little bit more. But we are both here. We're both here to talk about the playoffs. So we're going to do just that. But before we do, let's do a little recappy. You want to do some recapping?
Let's do some recapping.
Let's take a look at week number 17. Take it away.
Week 17. Of course, we know it's all about playoffs and playoff positioning and looking at all these games down this list. Man, there were some good games. Denver played New England to 28-27 game. I know there was a couple of games that were simmed. I don't think that was one, but I'm not sure if that was one that cut out. It had to be sim afterwards, but nonetheless, that was a close game. A game that was not close was the Desperados just whipping the snot out of the Kansas City Chiefs, 56-28. Carolina just took care of business against Green Bay, sent them packing, 45-11. Oh, Baltimore did a little plucking of the feathers of the Falcons, 34-17. That was not a good game for me. Houston, 35-31 victory over Philadelphia. Again, a lot of good games. The one that I wanted to touch on, though, was one that was kind of actually, I think, important to some of the playoff implications and look at Cincinnati versus the Chargers. The shows it was a 38-27 win for Cincinnati, but you see Cincinnati scored 15 points in that fourth quarter. So this game was a lot closer than what the score shows here, which was only like a 11-point difference. But man, the Bengals definitely know how to close out games, man, because looking at the offensive yards, gained 501 yards for the Bengals, 309 for the Chargers. They were trying to stay up with that. Rushing yards almost dead even. Passing yards, though, where you get the big discrepancy as the Bengals and Joe Burrow, 383 yards passing compared to 190. First downs pretty close to the same, but again, those total yards. And turnovers was actually pretty close. 3 turnovers for the Bengals, 4 for the Chargers. Third down conversions, both 4. Probably wasn't a whole lot of third downs because it looked like they were kind of going up and down the field. But man, those a time of possession was pretty close to the same. But sometimes even like on those those turnovers, man, that one could have been one that kind of been costly there for the Chargers. Looking at some stats from this game, and I'm pretty sure I did watch some of this. I've had so much stuff going on for the last week or so. I don't even remember for sure if I watched this one, but I want to say I did watch part of it. Burrow did have 3 interceptions, but he had those 4 touchdowns. Both players took a sack, but man, Herbert struggled a little bit in this game. Those 4 interceptions definitely probably put them behind the black ball here, and so. But that was probably looking at that. That was probably where the struggles happened there for the Chargers. 83 yards rushing for McGee, 72 for Akers. And to just point this out, Cam Akers, man, it's amazing what Black Cats has done with Cam Akers, man. He's probably wouldn't be on most teams' third or fourth string running back, but he's his starter, and he dominates with him. Again, putting up 72 yards rushing against that very stout Bengals front seven. Because I played them, man, and he shut down my run, except for like one run, man. He was just in the backfield every time I turned around. But 2 touchdowns for Akers, man. So that was a good look there for Black Cat. Jamar Chase, though, that is the guy. There is no doubt. This is the guy that Denver is looking to get activated in the game pretty quick. 8 catches, 194 yards, 2 touchdowns. But he's also got this guy, Dyson, that he loves to get involved in the offense. He's always looking to get these guys stretching the ball down the field, making those big plays. He had 2 touchdowns, 151 yards on only 4 catches, man. So he was the long ball man here for Cincinnati. Frederickson, he got his fair share here with 4 catches, 107 yards, and a touchdown. And then looking at your defense, again, like we said, the defense looked like was probably playing a big factor in for Cincinnati. Taylor Britt with an interception. This beast of a cornerback that he drafted, Christian Fair, I think he came in basically, he was like an 89 overall or something like crazy when he first came in. But he's been making some plays for him on defense as well. Wilson with 1, Turner with another. Robinson had 1 for the Chargers. Simmons had a sack for the Chargers. Murphy, this guy, if you haven't played Denver, Miles Murphy, you better find out where this guy is on the field because he's coming after you. But overall, this was a really good game. And again, like I said, I want to say I'm pretty positive. Watched this game up until right at the end, and it was a pretty close back and forth game. So if these 2 guys match up in the playoffs, it's going to be a nice one to watch, I'm sure.
Yeah, a lot of good games in week number 17, and I got the yawns all of a sudden, just like out of nowhere. This is what happens. I normally don't get up at 5:45 in the morning, but this morning I did, and I guess it's starting to hit me, man. Week 17 is about halfway or so done. I think we're going to get a bunch of games tonight. The Baltimore Ravens and New England Patriots, they were right there. New England was winning that game with less than 2 minutes left to go. The Baltimore Ravens ended up driving, winning with a touchdown and a field goal late in that game. I think there was like 6 seconds left whenever the Ravens had finally scored. But I'm going to talk about my game because I did the most Nate thing ever. If you watch me last season and the season before, I always seem to like figure it out with 3 games left. And just the only thing I screw up is my actual draft position. Last year, I think I won 4 of the last 5 or something crazy like that, and just went from a top 3 draft pick all the way to like 7 or 8 or 9, whatever. I ended up had to end up trading up in the draft, which cost me a second rounder this year, which is now worth a whole ton. And there I go doing it again. My team finally put it all together in this game against the Kansas City Chiefs. And I really have to give it to my defense where we kept their running game under check. I'm going to say this up front because we're going to talk about playoff teams. What's up, Bronco, man? Good to see you in chat, my buddy. Hope you're having a good day, good Monday, good start to the week. If you want to see what kind of gameplay, play calling that I enjoy seeing in the OMFL, the reason we have the rules that we have, the type of game that you want to see, go watch Shock's play. Now, I haven't watched all of his games, and sure, sometimes owners play me slightly differently than other people, but I've played Shock's before, and I don't think he does. This guy just played the most evenly balanced, just good play calling, and puts himself in 3rd and shorts. Now, I know I ended up winning this game late, scoring 10 in the 4th quarter to put me over the hump, but I just wanted to pause and say, you want to see the kind of play style, the kind of play calling, the kind of guy who just doesn't find flaws, but uses his weapons. He hit his tight end for 4 catches and didn't abuse him on 3rd downs, didn't abuse him on specific routes whenever he needed a big play. It's just like, I just had to, we pause all the time and rip guys whenever we have gameplay that we don't want to see. we need to pause a little bit more often whenever we see gameplay we do want to see. And I just got to commend Shocks. Again, I won this game. I got lucky in this game. But this guy just played the perfect OMFL style game. He just was a couple of plays away from being able to win this. So my defense did a really great job of doing of holding the run game in check. He does have some really good running backs over there, 19 first downs for each of us. Both of us played pretty well in the red zone. Time of possession was fairly even. Nothing sexy from my quarterback, Mark Anthony. At least he didn't turn the ball over. Only 1 sack this entire game, which just drives me insane. But this Madden is what it is. You're just not going to have consistent pressure. He did pass for 62%. We were able to hold Mahomes under 60%. We did pick him off once, but I will say I had him another 4 or 5 times and just couldn't get the animation. Kendre Miller with a big game before he got injured, 16 for 116. He's been the only bright spot in our entire season. And again, defense held Winters to 2.7 yards per carry, which is a really great job. Nash, again, he was a weapon for him. 4 catches, 86 yards. Did not abuse him on third downs. Did not abuse him whenever he needed a big play on a certain route. We all know what we're talking about. You can see his receivers, they got the catches that they needed to have. And my team overall played pretty decently. Howden got the start late in the season. He's going to be the future. He played exceptionally well. 10 tackles on the day. 1 sack came from Felix. You figure out how to say the last name because I cannot. And the 1 interception came from Howden. He made a diving backwards catch. It was awesome. But a good win for my Saints. Give us a little momentum as we move into the toilet bowl. Maybe something that we can build on as we look for season 110, which I will say up front and I will say time and time again is our last season. But don't do anything weird, okay? We're going to be watching trades, so you can't do anything weird. We'll be watching contracts, so you don't do anything weird. Don't be a weirdo and try to do weird things just because it's the last season and you don't have to worry about cap and you don't have to worry about future draft picks. Don't be a weirdo, okay? That is the theme of season 110 business season. Don't be a weirdo. What's up, Kev? Good to see you, my buddy. And that is a quick look at the recaps, week 17 and 18. We have no OMFL news because our OMFL news buddy, he's off fishing. And you know what? He's earned it. So congrats to him. Let's talk playoffs. Okay, I'm going to walk you through the scenarios that Bill posted a little earlier, which was outstanding. Bill does not get enough credit for this. I have not asked him to do this. I do give him a few extra incentive points, but the guy just puts all, like, I love this. I've said it. I don't know why I'm rambling, maybe to keep myself from falling asleep for whatever reason. But this kind of stuff goes very underrated, very under the radar. And Bill, I see you. I appreciate you. Thank you. I love this kind of content. Some guys produce content just for the incentive points. They do the bare minimum.
There you go, Bill.
How big's the article that I got to write? Okay, that's how big it's going to be. How long is the video got to be? I got to do. Okay, that's how long it's going to. Like, they do the bare minimum. Bill goes so far above and beyond. Shocks with his streams. Meek with his streams. Like, I see you guys putting in the extra energy, the extra effort. Maniac, when he has time, right? He puts in all that extra energy and effort. I love it. I see you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. It is what makes this league special. We're going to talk NFC first, and then we'll go over to the AFC. Currently, this is what Madden has. You see it on the screen. San Francisco 1, Dallas 2, Bucks 3, Vikings 4. That'll be a fun conversation. Seahawks 5, Washington 6, Panthers 7. According to Bill, and again, he does all this work, I think that is absolutely spot on to what Bill has right here. Falcons are still alive at 8-8 and still have an opportunity. Here's what he has written. If Panthers win, Panthers lock up the 6th seed. Commanders lock up the 7th seed. Panthers will have a better conference record. If Panthers lose, Commanders lock up the 6th seed. Panthers Falcons lock up the 7th seed. Commanders will have a better overall record. If Panthers lose and Falcons win, who knows? And he adds in a little extra adult language in there. Panthers and Falcons would have split the season series, overall records, blah, 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 blah. Who knows? And let me look at some score updates. I don't think that the Panthers have played just yet. Your Falcons definitely have
played yet.
not played, so we definitely have that still in the air. So let's talk AFC or NFC. I apologize. I'm going to play this out how it is on the screen because my old 40, almost 5-year-old brain cannot handle all of the blabber and stuff. I do think Carolina is going to win this game. No, oh, that's right. I didn't pick Carolina because the quarterback situation. Oh, gosh. Now I'm starting to rack my own brain. Oh, that means I think the Commanders are going to win the 6th seed. Yeah, so I'm playing it out as we see here. The Commanders in the 6th seed, the Panthers in the number 7 seed. All right, what do we think about the NFC playoffs? Do you see any seeding changes? And then after that, we're going to break this down matchup by matchup.
Yeah, I don't see any changes. I think San Francisco just won their last game here just earlier. So I think he finished up with that one loss on the season. So that's going to give him the number 1. Cowboys, I think, are locked into that number 2. Bucks, I think, if the Cowboys are locked in 2, Bucks are locked at number 3. And then the lonely Vikings, man, with the 6-10 record. Whew, they're in the playoffs. So Seahawks, guess what? The Vikings get the Seahawks there at the first game of the playoffs. So that's what a consolation prize, man. You know, getting into the playoffs and facing a very strong, stout Seahawks team put together by Meek. Commanders, I played Bill a couple weeks ago. Man, that defense is by far one of the best defenses in the OMFL right now. I think hands down. I know you've got Dwayne. I know you've got D-Money, but he played both of those guys, and both of those guys he played very extremely close and was just a couple of plays away of possibly pulling out an upset over one of those guys. So I think the Commanders are a team to kind of watch in the playoffs. Panthers, tough loss. If anybody knows anything about the quarterback woes this season, I know I benched Parker Colt after a couple of games because he had really bad, but he also then got hurt for 5 weeks, and then I put in my backup, and then he got hurt for 8 or 10 weeks or whatever, so I put him on the IR, and then I had to pick up a bunch of scrub guys off the street just to kind of keep things going for my games and stuff. But I think, though, Bird, with his type of offense that he has, as long as the quarterback has some decent accuracy ratings for like the mid to deep routes, because he does like to get the long ball going. He can throw the underneath, but I think that's going to go a long ways to seeing him advance into the playoffs. I don't know. Him and the Bucks have got to play this last game, so if the Bucks go resting a bunch of guys and playing backups, that could also help the Panthers go ahead and advance into the playoffs. Falcons, my team, I've got Priest on the schedule. Priest is 2-11, I think, but Priest always plays me really close. He's kind of like, I think you talked about what was it last Press Pass Live? I think it was Outlaw. I think it was one of the ones, like you said, that no matter what his record was, he would always like end up beating you or play you like. So that's kind of Priest with me. That's the same thing. He just seems to give me fits with his offense. But it's going to be kind of a unique thing to see what happens, I think, with this last spot. But man, what a consolation prize for that last spot. You get to face the Cowboys round 1 in the wild card. So, I think the excitement of getting in the playoffs is going to be where you're going to have to kind of curb your excitement, because it's going to go all downhill from there, facing all these juggernauts. It's up there in the top 3 spots.
Let me see if I don't screw something up here. Nope, I think we're good. Okay, let's break it down. I'm going to go with what we see on the screen because that's probably all that my little brain can handle. Let's break this down matchup by matchup, and if there's a matchup here that's slightly different than what you think, Tell me what you think that matchup will end up being. Dallas Cowboys versus the Carolina Panthers. Dallas, the number 2 seed. Carolina, the number 7 seed. Listen, Carolina has figured it out. They have figured out how to play better. They've figured out all the things, right? They had it rolling there for a minute, and then the quarterback gets injured. And I just think that's too tough to go on the road against what was the number 1 seed for a very long time here. I just think it's not going to be, you're not going to have enough firepower at the quarterback position, especially with those options. Now, can Bird scheme with the best of them? Yes, and if he had a different matchup here, I would probably go with the Carolina Panthers because of the hot streak that he was on. But against Dallas, there's just, I don't know. I don't see it. It would take a major, massive upset for you to be able to make it, Bird. I think Dallas wins this game. What do you see this matchup being?
Yeah, I got to go with the Cowboys. Dwayne's he's just got so many weapons, man. He's built a really good team with the Caps situation with the Cowboys. To see Dwayne, what he's done with them is not anything short of just spectacular and miraculous or whatever, because he's built a great squad with that Cap situation that team is given to him because of just real life. But Birdman, like you said, he's figured some things out. He's got his defense playing a lot better as of late. He's gotten pressure. I've seen some of the games that he's played. He's gotten some pressure on the quarterback from his front four. And that's usually kind of the key, like with these guys. The guys that can get pressure with just the 4 guys rushing are usually the guys that tend to have a little bit more success because you got those extra guys back there in coverage. And the Cowboys, so far this season with Michael Parsons, I think he's got 30 sacks, 32 sacks, something like that. He's really kind of been the mainstay of that situation of figuring things out with rushing the quarterback. So I just don't see the Panthers able to overcome the loss of their starting quarterback. But man, I do think it'll be a good game up until about halftime, and then we're going to see the Cowboys kind of take control.
Yeah, I agree. What's up, Bill? What's up, Bird? Good to see you guys. Love you. Appreciate you. Bird is an excellent schemer. And I mean that from the sense of I've seen him draw up some defenses and some offensive game plans that just murder teams, take the wheel out of them. It's just hard when you don't have the quarterback that can make the throws that you need him to make. And I do expect him to have a scheme ready for Dwayne. Just don't know that it's going to be enough. All right, the second game, we got the number 3 seed Tampa Bay Buccaneers against the number 6 seed Washington Commanders. Both of them are in the chat, so let's see who talks crap the first and the finest. This one's just going to be a good game. Tampa Bay, in my opinion, has hit a bit of what would you call it? I don't even know what you would call it, to be totally honest. Not a skid per se, but not playing their best football that you want to see teams playing as we come to the end of the season. And it really has hovered around his propensity to throw interceptions. There's word of the day. It popped up on my... no, it didn't. I'm just kidding. I don't even know what that means, and don't ask me to spell it. But he has just turned the ball over way too many times. And what Bill does well is, yes, he's a good offensive player, but I think his best offensive days were when he had a lot of tools, a lot of speed, and a quarterback that could get it there. Think Seattle Seahawks a couple of Maddens ago, a little bit in Buffalo. I don't know that he has quite all those weapons offensively, but man, he's going to make you earn every blade of grass defensively. He's going to attack you. He's going to cause you to turn the ball over. If he can keep himself from turning it right back to Tampa Bay, because if this becomes a scoring, who can score the most points, whoever has the ball last, I'm sorry, Bill, you're not going to keep up. Tampa Bay can score with the best of them. But if Buffalo, listen, it's stuck in my head from all the previous seasons. If the Commanders can figure out a way to get 1 or 2 interceptions, not turn it over, slow the game down, cause Kevin to sort of push it, because I feel like Kevin, like a lot of us sometimes, like if he doesn't have that rhythm, he starts to push it. He starts to put the ball in harm's way. He starts to like want that big play. Now I've seen him play a bit more consistency this season of like settling in and just kind of taking what the defense gives him. But Kevin's always going to be a big play guy. Give me the big play. I want the big play over the top. I want the big play to the sidelines that he's going to attack you. He's going to take those deep shots. I like the Commanders in this one only because I've seen Tampa Bay turn it over a lot recently. But just because they're both in the chat and listening to me right now, watch Kevin's going to play like this super conservative game. He's not going to put it in harm's way. And I'm sorry, Bill, if he does that, you're not going to be able to keep pace. That Tampa Bay Bucks offense, top 3 in this league and this cycle outside of all Madden.
Yeah, I'm thinking this game really. If you look at Bill, what he's done, like his defense has been really great. He's got the cornerback Forbes is just a ball hawk. He seems to be around the ball every time you throw the ball in that area. And like you said, I think Kev with the Bucks. I don't know if the focus of trying to make sure his wide receivers all maintain their X factors and stuff for next season is what the driving force behind throwing so much. But I mean, sometimes you look at some of the especially like the last three weeks. I know I've seen him like, man, Kev's throwing an interception. It's kind of uncharacteristic about him and his quarterback, especially since his quarterback like a 99 has every attribute you could always want for the quarterback. But I just think a lot of it has been looking at some of the pressures coming. I don't know if he's had any injuries on his offensive line. Maybe that's caused a little bit more pressure in on the quarterback. But I from experience can tell you that does affect a lot of things in your quarterback accuracy. Looking at Bill, I think he's steadily kind of maintained a pretty balanced offense. And I think the key in this game for both of these teams is whoever controls the ball better will be the one that comes out victorious. We've seen Bill have a very good running attack with his 2 running backs that he has. He's got the young guy that he just drafted, and then the Bucks with his guy. The name just went blank for me right now, but he's a little short dude. You wouldn't think he would be a guy that would carry the load, but man, he is just fantastic. So I really think looking at this game, though, we're going to reverse it. It's not going to be on the quarterback shoulders. I think it's going to be whoever can control the ball the best and just play off of that with their wide receivers or quarterback. I think is going to be the one that comes out victoriously. And I've got to give it to the guy that I've played the most in the Bucks. I think this team is going to be extremely close. I think it's going to be like a 1 point to 3 point game advantage for the Bucks, but it's just going to be like down to the wire, and it's going to have to be played really conservatively, I think.
Kevin said he's only got 10 interceptions, and you're right, Kevin. It felt like they came a lot. Most of those came late in the season. And technically, they did in 2 games, though. It was not as bad as I thought. I remember watching. I did see this game, and in my head, it was closer to the end of the season and the one bad game you had with me than it really was. So maybe I was giving Kev a little too hard of a time. My bad, Kev. I still love you.
I think he did have a backup quarterback in, too, maybe a couple times.
So he did throw 2 against Tampa Bay. He did throw, against Cincinnati. And he did throw 2 against me, but those were spread pretty far apart. I thought that they came sort of late in the season. I didn't say you throw a ton of interceptions. It just felt that you've thrown a lot more at the end of the season.
Man.
Already looking for some bullet board material. My bad, Bill. I didn't mean to give him any. Let's talk about the next game. We've got the Minnesota Vikings and the Seattle Seahawks. I don't know what I'm supposed to say here. Seattle gets a bye week. I don't know what to say.
We have seen some very strange things happen, though. It seemed
Stop. There's no way. I will retire if whatever team wins that division beats the Seattle Seahawks. I'm giving hand on a Bible. It's never going to happen. And I love Fleury and I love I mean, I don't really know I forget all the teams that have moved around. The Mounties, don't really know him. Listen, sorry, Tim, love you, but you're not going to win this division. Like, I don't care who it is. Seattle could fall asleep, have one arm go numb, and he's still winning this game.
Yeah, I was just going to say, though, it seemed like there was one team that came into the playoffs, limping into the playoffs, and then they end up going to the AFC Championship game. I don't remember what team it was, but I vaguely remember that situation.
That year they went
and we were all like, it's not going to happen.
Something.
You know, it's never going to happen. And we're like, they made it to the AFC Championship game.
Yeah.
I can't believe it.
I think it was the Bengals. I think it was Denver when he went on that run.
Okay, that might have been it. But back to this game, I don't see it. I mean, if you talk to Fleury very long in the chat, he's kind of like one of the ones, like, right now he's like, burn Madden.
Yeah.
So that can go a long ways towards really getting into the game and really wanting to win and stuff. Meek Boy, put some respect on his name, man. He's always fired up. You don't have to get him ready for no game. So.
No.
Yeah, give me the Seahawks in this one for sure.
On his stream, he started getting a camera going, so I was able to watch him for a little bit last night before I had to go. But some of those guys are really funny to watch and to listen, and they get into it, man. So it should be a really good one. So I would have Dallas winning as a 2 seed. The Commanders winning as a 6 seed, even though I don't know that I wouldn't put any money on it. So let's just put it that way. And then I would have Seattle winning as a 5 seed. So for me, it would be Commanders and 49ers in the divisional round, and it would be Dallas and Seahawks in the divisional round. I'll call the first one San Francisco against the Commanders. Love you, Bill. If some way, somehow you're able to sneak past the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, ain't no sneaking past D-Money. Now, we've seen weirder stuff happen with D-Money. So it's sort of like he wins the first season just to prove that he still can, and then he sort of like goes on an auto hiatus every time we sort of get rolling here. And so I don't know. He's been dominant this season, but he's always dominant, and he never seems to make it after the first season. Sometimes I think by choice. I don't know what's going on, but I just don't see it happen. I think San Francisco would win this one. They're dominant on all fronts. He's got the run game, the pass game. Bill would really have to slow that game down. I think a lot similar to the game plan that you would have against Tampa Bay. You would have to take that up a notch against San Francisco. You got to turn him over, cannot give him back the ball, cannot get any kind of, foot race with him scoring points. You got to slow it down, control the clock. Hopefully he makes a mistake and you can keep it really close in the fourth quarter and then capitalize on some kind of late mistake. I would see San Francisco, though, in the NFC Championship game. What would be your divisional matchup for San Francisco?
With what I went with, the Seahawks would be the lowest seed, making out of the wild card round. So they would be matched up for the third time against the 49ers. The first time they played in the season, the Hawks blew out the 49ers, which is the only loss for the D-Money and San Francisco. The last game, I think it was kind of reversed. I think San Francisco kind of had the way against the Seahawks there. So
I think it was close, right?
I think it was a little closer than the Seahawks game, the first game where they blew out San Francisco. But I don't know if it was like real close or not. I'd have to look back. But again, though, you face the same opponent for the third time in a season. It's always a very interesting matchup because one, you've kind of figured out each other's tendencies. Being in the same division, what they like to call on certain downs and stuff. So this could be a very intriguing matchup here in the divisional round. I still think, though, I think D-Money, looking at his regular season record, I think he's out to prove something this season. And I think that Seahawks loss just kind of woke up the sleeping giant. And I think unless he announces tomorrow that he's going on vacation.
Which could happen. I never know with him.
It could happen. Give me the 49ers, though. I think it's going to be a close game. I think both teams match up really well. Both have great defenses. The 49ers, I think he has enough cornerbacks on his team that he could probably supply 2 other teams with starting cornerbacks. And they're all really good. So just give me the 49ers though to advance there, because like I said, it's just it could go either way, but I just feel like that he's out to prove something.
Randy, thanks for hanging out with us. You're right. That Meek team is just explosive on a lot of fronts. And Kevin, I don't know that he has him figured out, though. I think Meek is the only one to figure out. D-Money comment is like my interception for the Tampa Bay Bucks comment. Bronco Man, the other Randy, I can't say his last name, but the new owner who just joined us, he's on the vertical stream watching us right now, so you guys don't see each other's chat. I wish it were different, but there's no way to fix that. That's the way it is right now. Hopefully YouTube works on that, though. I would have I would have Seattle Seahawks versus the Dallas Cowboys. That's right. Right? Do I have that right? Yep. Dallas, Seattle. I think we've seen that matchup weeks 14, 15, something like that. Let me really quick go check. Schedule. Let's just do team schedule. Let's go Seahawks. They're right there. Yeah, right here, week number 14, where they lost 17-20 in a really good game. I think Meek is going to have revenge on the brain. He is going to be focused for the playoffs. But if we have seen anything in the OMFL, and that is when you get in the playoffs, you got to be hyper-focused, and almost anything can happen because these teams are pretty evenly matched up. Now, injuries could change the game, right? That could change anything, and that's always the disclaimer as we roll into these predictions. But I do like Dallas to win this game. He was the number 1 seed all the way. I will be honest, there is a bit of me, Maniac, that is torn by that pick, because I've had conversations with my good friend, Dwayne.
Oh.
Maybe I should ask permission if he's a good friend. I don't know. He may hate me after this. My buddy Dwayne hates, loathes, does not want to play Mr. D-Money. Did I say D-Money the first time? Dwayne does not want to play D-Money. Now, has that changed? Because they have not faced each other in quite some time. There was even one time, I think these teams faced like 3 or 4 or 5 seasons in a row, something crazy. And Dwayne was like, listen, it's somebody else's turn to go play him. I just don't want to play him anymore. I cannot beat him. I would like to see that matchup. I hope Dwayne would like to see that matchup. And that's the matchup I'm going with, because I think they've been the most consistent teams, with Seattle right there, like right underneath, like right, almost diagonal from them. Like Seattle has had an amazing season, and it would not surprise me at all if Seattle wins it all and goes all the way to the championship game. But I'm going to pick what I see most consistently. I want to see Dallas. I want to see San Francisco in the championship game. But even if somehow Meek wins this game, which wouldn't be a somehow, he lost by 3 against Dallas earlier, I think Meek's going to be primed and ready. Here is where I think it will be slightly different. I think Carolina is going to give Dallas a game. It may be for 2 quarters, maybe for 3.5 quarters. Dwayne is not going to sleepwalk through that game against Bird, or he's going to end up getting beat. Now, if Dwayne plays this game after work and after a couple of adult beverages, you never know what's going to happen. Meek, on the other side, he's going to be sleepwalking. He's going to be half asleep 3 quarters through that game. That momentum, that energy goes with you into the next game. Not that Seattle cannot overcome that. Not that Seattle can't hype himself up going into this game against Dallas, in my opinion. But I do think it does build to starting out hotter, fresher, ready to go. So I do think that's going to lead to a tight game, a close game that I see Dallas overcoming. And boy, I way over-talked that game. What would be your matchup in this one?
Okay, so this would be the Cowboys versus the Buccaneers. We seen this matchup, I think, 2 playoffs ago. The Bucs were coming in riding high, and they kind of hit a buzzsaw that was the Dallas Cowboys and Dwayne.
Hey, can I ask for a quick pause?
That being the similar thing as well.
Can I ask for just a very quick pause? I want to make a bet with you before it happens. 100%. Oh, I can't, because if I say it, then it sort of takes something away from it. Okay, if it happens, I will pause you and say this is what I was talking about. You go on.
Okay.
This will make sense when it happens, because I almost guarantee you it's going to happen. You keep talking about this matchup.
The Dallas Cowboys, we've all seen what, again, we talked about Parsons and getting after the quarterback, and then the Bucks, the supposed interception problems, which I've seen whenever he has, or at least whenever I've tuned into his game, I always see like him throwing a pick or something.
Okay, thank
so
you. It's not just me making it up.
Every one of them.
Okay, it's not just me over here making it up. Other people felt that way too, Kevin.
But I really think that what Dwayne has done with the pass rush, with everybody that's kind of struggled, at least Micah Parsons on his team gets after the quarterback consistently. And so I don't know what he's figured out, what he's done, but get 30 sacks, that's pretty impressive with these settings. I think everybody would have to agree with that. So, but I think when I've seen Kev have the issue is when he's under pressure. And the game that I won against him in the regular season, that's what caused him to throw the picks, was the pressure that I was generating a little bit. So I think that's going to be the key in this game, this matchup. I think Dallas will bring the pressure on the Bucks. Again, I don't know what his offensive line situation is. I don't know if he's had an injury that's caused some pressure, or maybe he's kind of like with you. I always see one of your tackles or guard or something, like every other game seems to go out on an injury, Nate. So I don't know if he's got one of those that tends to do that, and then it causes a little bit of problems up front for him. But again, I just see the Cowboys being too much for the Bucks here, and I just think that'll eventually get in the back of his mind, and he's going to throw the picks and make the bad choices, and we'll see the Cowboys advance into the NFC Championship game.
All right, he didn't do it. Maybe he didn't have enough time. Maybe he's driving and in traffic. But my bet, the reason I paused you is I was like, 100%, this guy's going to say, oh, I'm not on the same level. I'm going to get demolished. I mean, blah, 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 blah. He is the biggest Eeyore about Madden football sometimes. I've got San Francisco and Dallas in the championship game. We have not seen it in quite some time. And honestly, I have no faith that we'll see it again. It could. It's my best pick. I think they've been the two most consistent teams again, with Seattle right there on the edge, bump them. They're bumping butts with each other, okay? That's how close I think that those three teams have been. Seattle will not shock me. I'm saying it for the 100th time, so do not get confused here. Seattle will not shock me if they get all the way to the OMFL Bowl for season 109. San Francisco, Dallas, I don't know what to expect. Flip a coin, make an assumption, guess, ask the Ouija board, draw straws. I don't know. Do whatever you got to do to figure it out, but do not, whatever you do, put money on this game. I'd say San Francisco, but I don't know that I have any conviction in that pick, only because I don't know if he cares. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's like he won the first one. He proved a point. He's got a baby now. He's going to go deep. He went undefeated. It's like he proves the point in the regular season, and then he's like, okay, y'all can have one. I don't really care. They're going to battle. They're going to go at it. I think there's going to be some ego there for D-Money. He's not going to just lay down for D-Wayne. I think D-Wayne is got the talent. He's got the team. I wonder how the two quarterbacks play. I wonder how those two guys compare. And I also sort of wonder if there is a mistake. And we've seen D-Wayne, he's not shy. He'll put it up for grabs. Like, whatever that game we called last year, who was it? It was Dallas and somebody.
Him and Trey.
That's what it was. It was him and Trey. Both guys just putting it in harm's way. And there was like a series of like 2 or 3 picks back to back to back, like in that game. So D-Wayne is not scared. He'll go doing that. And if you do that against D-Money, it can backfire sometimes, because D-Money often does not put it in harm's way too many times. It doesn't give you too many opportunities to make a play on him. And I also think we're at that point in the cycle where everyone's figured out all pro. Like they figured it out. They know what to call. They won't know what not to call. They know how to call a game to keep it close or to either blow you away if you're not a very good team who hasn't figured this game out. And I think those two, with a third being Meek, have figured this out. Flip a coin, give me San Francisco, but San Francisco, Dallas, Seattle, none of those teams would shock me at all. The shockers would be Carolina, Tampa Bay, because he would have to go deep, and then of course Washington. Sorry, NFC North, have zero faith in any team that comes from there. Who's your NFC Championship game and who wins it?
Yeah, so we both had different paths, but we both came to the same.
Oh, that's right.
Same situation here. So San Francisco versus Dallas. And I do love the point that you made about Dwayne not being afraid to put the ball up, and we've seen how he plays with the. I was fixing to say Trey Lance, but what is that guy's name from the Chicago Bears that Dwayne picked up?
Fields.
Fields, there we go. I don't know why I was thinking something like along the lines of like Fields or something like that, but I was like Fields. There we go. Okay, but we saw him. He loves to scramble with the quarterback, which I think he's very good at. He picks his moments, he picks his times, and he can extend drives. I think his running game is top notch. I'm not sure if it's any better than San Francisco's with Pacheco, but they're like 1 and 2 in the OMFL in the rushing attack. So I think both teams are going to be really stout in the running game, but I also think they also play each other really close. But again, the point you made was Dwayne's not afraid to make those chance throws or whatever down the field, and sometimes they pay off. But if D Money picks any of those off, he's more than likely not going to return the favor. And and so that just kind of puts you in behind the 8-ball right away. And so anytime you've got the ball first, you make a bad choice, he makes you pay for it. And the next thing you know, you turn around, you're down 21 points or you're down by 2 scores. And then you just have to pretty much then the rest of the game push the envelope as far as you can go to try to get back into the game. And it's just an uphill battle for the rest of the game. But if there's anybody capable in this league, hands down, is Dwayne able to beat D-Money and take it straight up from him. But he's going to have to play a very spectacular game plan, not turn the ball over or minimally turn the ball over. And I think ball control, time of possession control, I think, again, one of the things with the new rules that you set in place or that was set in place for this Madden allows a little bit more of a slowdown in the game. You don't have to run it as fast. So will Dwayne maybe take the opportunity to maybe slow that game down, maybe putting the pressure a little bit more on Money, because up until this season, we didn't see D-Money really have a deep threat, which he's got that rookie Lambert that he's really been using. So again, there's so many different things that could play into effect in this game. But I like, in my heart, I want to see Dwayne make it. But I think D-Money is just like, okay, I've done this for every Madden for the last 2 or 3 years where I've kind of taken things off, and but now I've got the baby. I've got this record. I'm going to prove that I am the king of the OMFL here, and I'm just going to take it and ram it down these guys' throat, and I'm going to take another trophy home. So look at the 49ers to advance into the OMFL Bowl.
All right, let's go over to the AFC and give our predictions really quick. Man, it's hard to believe we're already an hour deep into this thing. This one's going to be my fault, not Maniac's fault this time. Currently, we see it on the screen here. Jets number 1, Bengals number 2, Kansas City 3, Condors 4, Miami 5, Ravens 6, and Desperados 7. So the way that Bill has it, that is all currently locked down, except for 1 and 2 still in the air, and then 5 and 6 still in the air. But these teams are all locked in. These are the teams that are going to be in the playoffs. Here's what Bill said. If Jets win, Jets lock up the number 1 seed and the first round bye. Jets will have a better overall record. If Jets lose and Bengals win, Bengals lock up the number 1 seed and the first round bye. Bengals would own the head-to-head. If Dolphins win, Dolphins lock up the 5 seed and Ravens the 6 seed. Dolphins will have a better overall record. If Dolphins lose, Ravens lock up the 5 seed and Dolphins the 6 seed. Ravens will have the better conference record. So we're looking at Jets, Dolphins. Let's look at those 2 games really fast before we give some predictions here. Let's go to schedule, league schedule. What do we have? We have Bengals are playing the Steelers. That's going to be a tough one. He's not going to just give him that game. Dolphins play the Jets. That's going to be a tough one. Both of those guys need to win that one. And I feel like I'm skipping one. Am I not? I guess the other one has played, right? The Condors and Desperados? No. Oh, I guess that those are the games because the Ravens game was already played. Yes, the Ravens beat the New England Patriots. So it just depends on the Dolphins beating the Jets, Jets beating the Dolphins, and everything else will sort of figure itself out. I'm going to go ahead and call it. I am putting my money on the Jets. I actually putting my money where my mouth is. They are my pick-em pick for this week. And so I think that the way we see it is the way that it's going to play out, which would give me Bengals and Desperados in round number 1. What do you think happens just for seeding? Who wins that Jets and Dolphins game, which I think is going to determine everything else?
I don't know. I don't know if the Bengals, let's see, did they already play? I guess not. So
Bengals have not. No.
I don't know if these guys wait to see what happens with the other game before they play, because the Jets don't have anything to play for. They could rest some guys, knowing that they've kind of got things locked up, and maybe that would help the Dolphins in their advancement. You just never know what guys are thinking. But I think for sake of time and for to help us with this playoff bracket, I think this is the way it's going to turn out too. I'm about 80% sure this is the way it's going to turn out. There's still 20% of me thinking that there may be a little bit of shakeup, but I think it would be pretty safe to put down the money and say this is what's going to happen, or this is going to be the seeding.
Well, I'll tell you what they're saying in the chat. If this will melt your brain. So first on the screen, we have Kansas City 3, Condors 4. That's actually flipped in the games that have already been played. So we're going to see a flip there. But what will happen is if the Jets win that game, which I think that they will, it's going to push the Dolphins to 6, the Ravens to 5. So the matchups will be the same. It's the seeding that will be slightly different here. So if it all plays out, Jets win, the matchups will be the same. The seeding will be different because the Kansas City Chiefs will be 4. The Dolphins will be, oh no, I guess it won't be. So Kansas City, no, it'll be the same as what we see here. Kansas City will be 4, Ravens 5. Currently, they're 3-6, so they'll just bump down. Condors are 3, Dolphins will go from 5 to 6. So the matchups will be the same. The seeding will be different. Give me Bengals and Desperados as the 2-7 matchup. This feels like the best friend bowl, right? We've talked about this with the Chargers and D. Wayne and the Cowboys whenever those guys match up. This is one of those best friend bowls right here. And I love what we've seen from the Desperados this entire season. There's a reason that the Bengals are the number 2 seed. That pass game with Burrow and Chase is just outstanding. He sprinkles in the other wide receivers, as you have talked about. He's got a great tight end with a lot of speed and athleticism, and that running back is crazy underrated. He's a Pro Bowl running back from the AFC every single season. He just has all of the tools necessary. And I think with the Desperados, when they play their best football is when they're outscoring opponents. They're hanging 40, 50 points on guys. Here's the one problem with this matchup. You're not going to outscore the Bengals. If you get in a track race here, the Bengals are going to win that one every single time. Give me the Bengals to win Best Friend Bowl for season 109.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I have seen Madden, though. For whatever reason, you know how finicky Madden is sometimes. You think you got things figured out, all of a sudden you play a game and it's like, this is not playing exactly anywhere near what I've played the last 5 games. It just plays feels different or whatever. And I have seen it where like you see a lot of firepower in the regular season, and all of a sudden you get in the playoffs and these teams, for whatever reason, I don't know if it's because all the teams get a little bit of a rating boost because they made to the playoffs, so everybody's kind of bumped up a little bit higher and plays a little bit better. And so then you start seeing like maybe a little bit of changes in some of the styles of play from guys. So could that be something possible? Again, it's Madden. So, but I really kind of agree with you on this part. I think the Bengals offense is just got so many weapons, and you've seen, I think the Desperados have kind of taken, if you could say, modeled how they're building their team, I think, to the Bengals.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And so you look at their offenses, they're very similar to the speed wide receivers they have at certain positions, tight ends, their offensive lines, their defensive lines. They probably bounce the ideas off each other. And I mean, I would too, you got your best buddy and stuff. So, but I think you looking at Burrow, I think is the key to the Bengals' success, and that running back McGee. I think both those guys are just a little bit top notch higher than what the Desperados have, which they have a really good quarterback and running back duo as well. But I just see that playing out. I think this game is going to be possibly like a 30 to 27, 24 range game, but I see the Bengals prevailing in the Buddy Bowl. I think if we were keeping track, it'd be like Buddy Bowl 20 or something. But anyway, it's both these guys play extremely well and are great owners.
Yeah, my next matchup, which will be 3-6, is currently listed here as a 4-5, but I think those are going to bump up. So 3-6 matchup between Condors and Dolphins. It's going to be a fun game. I would love to be able to call this game. You and I talk about it often, and we rarely get to call these the way that we want to, but and I don't know if life is going to let us call this game, but that would be a really fun game. Also, like, I can't stream games until later at night, and these guys are usually playing during my family/wife time. So, Condors, I think out of all of the last few seasons, probably have the biggest confidence issue this year. And I see you in chat, Mr. Bronco Man, so correct me if I'm wrong, but I've picked up on a bit of a confidence issue. He's not quite sure in what his team does or doesn't have. And even in a season where he's not quite sure, he's going to finish as the 3 seed in the AFC, which is outstanding. There's so many good teams over there. One could argue from top to bottom, the AFC has been the stronger conference this entire cycle. And so the Condors are going to be facing a guy who just knows how to put up a ton of points. He's got so much offensive firepower. I think low key has a top 2 or 3 quarterback in this league. You just don't talk about him a whole ton, and maybe it's just because we don't see Massimo in the chat a ton, and I don't know what the reason may or may not be, but I think that Dolphins offense is top 5 in the league. And he's facing a Condors offense that just gets it done, I think, in the most steady way that we've seen sort of in the AFC. He can attack you with the running game. He can attack you with the tight end game, the quarterback game. He can scramble. He can do a lot of really good things really well. To me, it's going to be who can get the most defensive stops. And if I had to put my money on these two teams and which one will come through with the most defensive stops, you got to put it on the Condors. He's a champion this cycle. I think he plays more consistently on the defensive side of the ball. Now, if this gets into a track meet, that's going to tend to start to fade towards the Dolphins. Even though I've seen the Condors do track meet games before, I like the quarterback play. I like the receiver play a little bit more steady from the Dolphins overall from top to bottom. I don't think that that's what's going to happen here. I think when we start to get into the playoffs, we start to see the defensive shine. But with that said, we've seen Miami in round one, in those wild card rounds, step in and just come out with a big upset, putting up 40, 50 points and moving on to the next round. So don't think it's out of the question here. This would be a tough game to be able to put money on. I like the Condors in this one.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the same matchup. I think the Condors and the Dolphins. And you talked about Bronco Men, the confidence. I remember there was one point where guys were talking about we're switching back from All Madden to All Pro. And I remember, forgive me, guys, but sometimes I don't forget things that guys say. He's like, I don't care what settings we're going to set it on. I feel confident I can play. But like you said, I think the confidence is kind of went down just a little bit because things have played a little bit different this season than we've seen the last couple of seasons. So, and Madden, sometimes it's so unpredictable. It just makes you want to just pull out the rest of your hair, which I don't have a whole lot of hair left. So I got to be careful when I say that because I don't lose the rest of my hair. I love my hair. But I think the Condors, you see what he brings. He's obviously been there to an OMFL a championship and won one. And so that right away, when you get to the playoffs, that experience can sometimes pay big dividends, as we've seen in the past, where guys kind of like, all right, I've been here before. They don't tend to panic when things go wrong because, like, hey, I've been here before. I've been down 2 scores, been able to come back and beat a guy similar to this situation. And so sometimes I think that can pay big dividends for guys going into the playoffs. Like you said, the Dolphins, though, a similar situation, though. He's made it to a couple OMFL bowl games. I don't think he's won one, but he's made it there. And so he's been able to run through the playoffs a couple times and make it to that far. I think this is a really good matchup, though. I think where you see the Condors, I think, struggle a little bit, maybe possibly, is some of their secondary. I don't think they have a lot of big-time cornerbacks that can really shut down one side of the field. And I think you see a lot more a total effort from their defense to shut down offenses. So, and in that situation, I think that kind of plays favor for the Dolphins because they have so many weapons, so much speed on the outside. If you don't keep it under control, it can get away from you really quick. And I think, again, the key, we talked about the Cowboys, their pass rush. If the Condors are able to keep tabs on the Dolphins and keep their quarterback under pressure, I think this is going to be a win for the Condors and they'll advance. But if they fail to do so and get, like what you said, get into that shootout matchup, I think this heavily fades towards the Dolphins and favors them to advance into the next round. That said, my prediction, I'm going to go with the Condors. I think just for the simple fact his situation's changed a little bit. Maybe he's got a little bit of self-doubt, but I think getting in the playoffs, he gets a couple of good drives underneath his belt. I think that is going to get back to where it needs to be for him, and we're going to see him advance into the next round of the playoffs.
I seem to be getting everything wrong today. I guess I need to do more research than I'm able to do. But he says his Condors are second in offense and the Dolphins are 11th on offense, and it's his defense that is horrendous right now. So we'll see. We'll see how that one plays out. All right, the 4-5 matchup, even though it's listed as 3-6 here, would be Kansas City against the Ravens. And this is a tough one to call. We've seen Kansas City lose a couple of games here late. I think he is the most balanced player I've ever played, and he tends to just kind of play the straight and narrow, which when we get in the playoffs, let's just be honest, guys, loosen up a little bit. We play a little bit more in the gray. We play a little bit more on the edges when it comes to FPR around here. And so that balanced look is going to be tough against the Ravens. The Ravens are going to play great defense. He just, listen, when you hike the ball, wherever his player is, you need to look to the opposite side of the field, or look where a player is running to the opposite side. Do not challenge him. He's going to make you pay for it. And on offense, the Ravens have a really good running game. This is going to be the story of two really, really good running games against each other. And so to me, it is who's going to make the most plays in the pass defensive portion of the game. And I just think Nipples is going to have a slight upper edge in that one. Give me the Ravens to win this one in a very close, tight game. I think that's going to be a ton of fun to watch.
Yeah, looking at the final matchup here, I did not have the privilege to play Shoxfan this season. I did play him, I think, a couple seasons ago. He's been very consistent this Madden. He's really kind of found his niche in this game, and I'm glad to see him that he's been battling for some playoff spots and that within the last couple of seasons. The Ravens, Nips. He's finally kind of got locked in. I think he hasn't been going on any cruises lately, so maybe he's kind of right, getting his head right here and ready to compete for another bowl. The Falcons, I played him I think like 3 weeks ago in the season. His rushing attack, man. No, in fact, I didn't get to play him. I actually had to go because I couldn't play. But I watched him on the stream play the game and stuff. And man, he was just he is so good at running the ball, and he's got that defense figured out. And if you've never watched someone actually user control a defender and wonder how on earth they do so good. But just take opportunity to watch Nips with defenders, man. He's like the Houdini of the defensive user, especially at cornerback and those areas, man. But I've watched plenty of his games. I've seen him play against Cincy. I've seen him play against Denver. He just plays really good football when he's locked in, and he's locked in right now. So. And that's trouble for the rest of the AFC. I really see the Ravens actually coming out on top here, even though I'm giving props to Shoxfan. He's got some really good offensive weapons. He's got good running backs. He's obviously got Mahomes at quarterback. He's got an import wide receiver that has been phenomenal this whole Madden. But look for Nipple just to take that away and force him to go other options. And I think that's where you're going to see where the advantage is going to go to the Ravens, and the Ravens are going to get like a 27-17 victory, I think, over the Chiefs.
That would give me Jets and Ravens. I think it would be the same for you. And then I would have Bengals versus Condors. So Jets and Ravens,
same.
That's going to be a classic game. Two teams that play really good defense, two teams that can be explosive on offense. Kobe is a great play caller. I think both are very good at the sticks, but if I had to just tell you how I feel about these two coaches, I think Nipples is more sticks than strategy and play calling. Kobe can do it all just as Nips can. Not that not that Nips can't play call or strategy. I just feel like Kobe is a very good play caller. He is very good at the sticks, but I think he's a better play caller just minorly, and Nips is a better, maybe it sticks than play caller. And so you're seeing two teams come at it from very similar areas who do something very well. Nips has this weird thing. I would tell him this, and I have told him this, where if you're playing him, and this is where I found funny. So I sort of got frustrated in our game. He blew me out. He absolutely just hammered me. I had no answers for what he was doing. But Nips has this weird thing that if the other guy makes a mistake or two FPR wise, or what he deems as a mistake or two FPR wise, he will just quit. He will just like not try, and he'll just like coast and take his L and move on with his life, which I think is really weird. And I've told him as much. And then against me, he causes a toss to the left and cut it like almost straight up the middle. And I was like, wait a second, aren't you the guy who like will just put his controller down if somebody breaks FPR, and you do that against me? Anyway, giving you a hard time, Nips. I think when you get into the upper echelon, you start getting into divisional matchups and conference matchups, you have to just know that guys will play closer to the edges than the middle when it comes to FPR, and you may see something that you deem an FPR break or an FPR gray area or something you don't like, and you have to know how, you just got to push through it. You just got to play through it. I don't think Nips will do that. I don't think he cares enough. And so give me the Jets to win this one. I think it'll be a close game. I could see something like a really tied game, or even the Ravens winning by 3, moving into late in the third quarter, Jets going on a drive, scoring early fourth quarter, and getting an interception or a turnover and scoring late in that game, where the score looks like it was a much larger victory than the actual reality of how that game played out. Give me the Jets to move on to the AFC Championship game.
Yeah, we both have a similar outlook on this game. I really think that both guys, like you said, are really good users, and we've probably seen these two guys probably use the cornerback more than most people in the league. Looking at their overall teams, though, I think the advantage where you're going to see, and the Ravens do have a pretty decent front seven on their defense. Which is quite amazing. They've built really well in the draft for their front seven. But you look at the Jets, I think they have like something of the 7 guys up front. I think they have 5 superstars / X factors on that front 7 of the defense. It's hard to run against that team.
Yeah.
And he generates pretty good pass rush. I don't know if it's anywhere like what Dwayne has done with Parsons, but still, again, enough. Sometimes, and I've noticed, like a lot of the guys have learned to, when they're getting under pressure and they see their line breaking down, they've got this like timing in their head, like it's quick pass time, or a lot of times they'll just throw it, and because the animation, the quarterback's going into the sack animation, but he just flops it out there, or whatever, and it falls harmlessly to the ground, or the DB just drops it because it's just Madden. But again, I think some of that may be the reason why we're not seeing a lot of sacks, and some of it may not be because guys are not getting pressure. But I just see the Jets, though, with the team that he's amassed on defense, I think is going to be the difference in this game. I think looking at what he does up front, I think he shuts down the Ravens' running game. I think he forces him to be one-dimensional. I think he'll keep it close, like you said, for a little bit. But I think the further the game goes, like you said, I think Nips is going to get less interested in it because it's going to get away, and he's just like, I'm ready to go party. And so I look at and see the Jets probably advancing here. It's probably going to be like a 34, maybe to 21 victory for the Jets.
TMI, but I've had to pee for the last hour, and we still got 45 minutes left to go on this show, so we're going to see if we can't hit our go gadget go boots.
Hey.
I would then have Condors versus Bengals, and that would be a really fun matchup. We've seen this one, I think, a couple of seasons ago. I may be wrong about that, but I could have swore when the Condors won their bowl game that he had a matchup against the Bengals. It's hard to remember what we did last week, much less what we did 2 seasons ago. That would be a fun matchup. I hear Bronco Man. He's got the stats to back himself up. Second in scoring offense. I also know that I have the firsthand knowledge of what the Bengals can do, and he just feels unstoppable. But I will say there's been something. I've been picking the Bengals for this entire cycle, it feels like, and he always sort of lets me down even before we get to a championship game. And he's out fishing, he's relaxing, maybe the calm before the storm as he gets himself focused. I don't know. I don't know if the drive is there. I don't know if he enjoys or hates or loves this cycle. I don't know. He doesn't really say. He sort of rides that fence in the board chat whenever we have those discussions of you don't really know what Denver's thinking. I know Bronco Man is driven. He's young. He wants to win. The ego is there. I don't know if the ego is there for Bronco or for Denbrew. Maybe this is going to challenge Denbrew with the ego. I see the Bronco Man-led Condors sneaking out with the win. I will say, though, I hear you, Bronco Man. I see the stats. Still don't know if I trust you in a track meet, and that's might be what this game comes down to. And if I got to pick the quarterback, man, I'd want to lean towards Burrow. But he's burnt me every season this cycle. I'm picking the Condors just for sake of like getting burnt from the Bengals. Condors are going to win this game. I got Jets. I got Condors. AFC Championship game. It almost happened last season. The two besties. I don't know if they're real best friends, but I know that they're friends. They're going to match up in the AFC Championship game. How do you see the Bengals and Condors breaking through?
Well, I know you're talking about, I can't see the chat or I don't have it pulled up, but Bronco Man talking about his stats. I will have to say, look at the division that he's been in, though. You got Penguins has kind of been on ice this season, no pun intended. You got the Texans that have struggled but have gotten better this season. And let's see, who else is in that? The Jaguars. You got Pepper. Where's Pepper been? He's been hanging out with the salt shaker for most of the season. So again, maybe some of those numbers are a little bit inflated because I've seen some very high scoring games inside his division, and so maybe that has helped skew some of those numbers. But I'm not taking away Bronco Man is a very good player, especially when he can control the ball, run the ball, and use the play action. Yeah. I think where he finds his struggle is when he gets a little bit maybe too aggressive with the passing attack and gets himself in a little bit of trouble. And I've seen him have some bad games with that and then still been able to overcome that. But when you get in the playoffs, is that going to be the situation? So I think if he has a very controlled offense and paces his offense, and I think maybe if he can somewhat control that Bengals attack that he's got with all those wide receivers and stuff, that will give him the best chance. That said, though, I just think, and again, I'm like you, Nate, we have been singing the praises of Denbrew all this man. He's let us down. So, Denbrew, I'm calling it here. You're going to advance to the AFC Championship game. But it's going to be a tight game. And but I think your offense, is just going to be top notch. And I think where you're seeing the Bengals improve, again, like I pointed out, that cornerback that he had, yeah, some of those players are just now starting to kind of mature in that Madden area where they start getting a little bit better than what they were. And so I think his defensive backfield has picked up kind of the slack this season, and I think you're going to see the Bengals reap the benefits from that in this game. And so I see Bengals advancing like with a 33-34 to 27-28 game, somewhere in that neighborhood.
I'm getting it all wrong with Mr. Bronco Man and the Condors over here. I'm not saying anything else, but hey, even though I'm getting it wrong, Mr. Bronco Man, at least I'm picking you to get to the AFC Championship. So I got to get some kind of credit here. He's not friends with Kobe. He hates Kobe. Can't wait to rip Kobe's heart out during the playoffs. He's actually Shock's fans' cousin. I'm sorry. I get it wrong. It's too many details to remember in this league. I need to shut up and stop trying to recall foggy details. AFC Championship game. I got Jets.
They're
I got
long lost
Condors.
brothers. I mean,
This would be a fun game between these two if they match up. I just really like what the Jets have done. I think both of these guys, maybe I think they're friends because they play very similar, right? They're going to play really good scheme defense. They're going to play really good play calling. Both may take some chances on offense, but they're going to establish the run game, or at least try to establish the run game. You pointed out the play action, I think, could be pivotal in this matchup. And it really comes down to two quarterbacks that I think play very similar, even though I think the Condors would have maybe the upper edge slightly. I think both can run, both can sling it. I think they're both of these teams are pretty similar outside of it. I think the Jets just overall maybe have a slightly better, maybe, I don't know, Bronco Man's going to go pull the stats directly from the league right now and say that he's got a much better number one defense or something. I know Bronco Man is struggling on defense, and I think that would be the name of the game in this AFC Championship game. I'm going with the two guys that have the first round seeds. Give me the Jets to win this one, to go play the San Francisco 49ers in OMFL Bowl number 109. How do you see your championship game playing out?
well, my game would be obviously against the Bengals and the Jets, and they've just recently played. If I remember what we talked about earlier, so this one could go either way. I do think, though, again, like one of the things I talked about the Jets, their front seven, I think, helps him tremendously because it allows him to kind of control the offensive line, or that line of scrimmage that kind of forces other teams to get maybe out of their comfort zone, or limit some of their game plan, because obviously, like we talked about, Denver plays a lot with his running back. He's got a good running back, plays a lot of the play action. And if all that's shut down, then you're not really having to worry about the play action, because the running game's not going. On those long downs, you play guys back. You're not worried, and he's got a pretty decent backfield as well. So I just think that plays into Kobe's hands. Now, if somehow, some way, Denver can generate a good rushing attack against that front seven, or Madden decides to say, hey, let's help the Bengals out a little bit. Let's give a couple injuries to the Jets on some of those superstar guys, and he's got to have play backups or something. Then we might see a little bit of a different story.
Yeah.
And that could always happen in any of these games. We've seen quarterbacks going down, so that could change the outcome of any one of these games. But this game in particular, though, I think if you just look at what the teams are made up currently, I've got to give the edge to the Jets. I just think he's playing really good ball right now. Both guys are really playing well, but I just think that his team that he is assembled is just a little bit better in those areas. I think that matchups really well against the Bengals and Denver. And this game's probably going to be down to the wire. It may be a walk off the field goal for the win, and just throwing out a number here. Just give me the Jets to be 31-30 over the Bengals for the move on to the OMFL Bowl.
I got Jets and 49ers in OMFL Bowl number 109. I'm just going to pick it. Barring injuries, I think San Francisco wins OMFL Bowl 109. But either way, this would be a ton of fun to watch. And I'm even playing out scenarios in my head where the Jets win it going away. Like, a lot could happen. But I'm just saying, barring injuries, I think San Francisco has a tendency, even though he has turned the ball over, his tendency to play more consistently. This would just be a really fun game. Super tight matchup, super close game. Would come down to the fourth quarter and will be a ton of fun to call.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I think this bowl game, the Jets versus the 49ers, like I said, I would love to see Denver versus Dwayne. I think that would be a great matchup as well. But I just think the Jets and the 49ers, I think, are going to be a really good matchup, and it's going to be a rematch, I think, of bowl like 90 or 95, something. I don't remember exactly. So it's been a while, but I think it's going to be a really good game. And I still, even though I want to pick Kobe to win that matchup, I just think again, D Money is out to make a statement, and I've said that like the last couple of seasons, and then right before the playoffs, he took a vacation. The first round of the playoffs, it was either Sim or the other opponent got a CPU game or whatever, and so I think in the back of his mind, he's like, "This is my prove it to the league season here, and we'll have another one." And if he wins it this season, I see him probably kind of taking a back seat and letting somebody else get it next season. But I just think Denver is out to prove a point. He's got Pacheco. I'm not sure exactly what his salary cap situation is with his team, but surely it's got to be coming due sometime, because he's got so many 90 plus guys all over his squad. I don't know how he's been able to keep them all, but just seeing that and seeing what other teams have and stuff, I think they match up really well. But, man, I got to give it to D Money, and I think he's going to be hoisting that OMFL trophy at the end of the season.
All right, let's open up the OMFL mailbag before we get out of here, Mr. Maniac. Thank you for breaking it down with me. Bronco Man says, what do you think is more important come playoff time, a dominant defense or an offense that can score at will? What do you think about that?
From my experience, and I guess I have to go along a lot with that, because that's just the way I break things down, I guess, or comprehend things. But from my experience, I've had some really good defenses going into the playoffs, and all of a sudden I don't hold teams to what I think I should hold, and my offense struggles, and I can't put up the points, and I can't stay up with them. I think if you have a solid defense, it may not be the best in the world. I think if you play your cards right, I think, and if you have a really good offense that you're able to score at will, and you kind of have things figured out on offense, I think that plays a little bit of a favor, or at least will help you in the long run in the playoffs. Like I said, again, I've had it where my team going into the playoffs defense was like a number 5 defense, and then end up giving up 30 something points. So as long as you can play solid defense and able to score at will, I think to me that would be the advantage to have if you have any.
See, I'm going the other direction in this. I think a dominant defense in the playoffs is more important, because by the time you get to the playoffs, almost everybody can score at will. And when you get into those track meets, you just never know, am I going to have the ball last? Is it going to be a crazy fumble mistake? Whereas if you have a dominating defense, you know it's going to set your offense up with more opportunities to score, and you're going to have a shorter field to work with. You'll be able to, your offense will have the ball more. And so maybe that time of possession comes into play. So I really like a dominating defense, especially as you get into the playoffs. Mr. Rogers says, what's your take on the last NFC wildcard spot? Does Bird lock it in with a dub over the Bucks, or does Maniac have a shot at a last-minute steal? I've already sort of made my call. I think it's going to be tough, but sort of factoring in real-life stuff that's going on for you. But you give us your direct from the horse's mouth take.
Well, to be honest, I kind of hope I don't make it, because just the simple fact, you're not gonna go past Dwayne. I mean, I'm living life to with eyes wide open here, and so, but I mean, I could squeak in, but I don't know. I'm ready for the draft. I'm ready to kind of reload and get ready for this next season. That's kind of my mentality. Maybe it's the wrong mentality. You know, somebody may look and say, look, you know, you should be excited you have a chance to play for the playoffs. But I just think, I think Bird has definitely earned that spot, because he has fought to the nail to get in this position, and maybe I hurt myself a little bit too much being too wishy-washy with my quarterback situation, and so maybe that's just self-inflicted that I should pay for. So
send one of those guys over to Carolina because he needs one. Bird, one question per submission. It's hard to mark those things when it's all in one. Anyway, the thumbs up is your second point that you get for your incentive. He says quarterback Bryce Young is out with a torn bicep, and the Panthers picked up quarterback Sam Darnold to replace him. Number one, should the Panthers start Kenny Pickett or Sam Darnold? And number two, you see any way that one of those quarterbacks could lead the Panthers to an upset victory in the playoffs? The answer for number two is no, but if it is, my answer for number one is Kenny Pickett. Played him in the preseason of this cycle against when Maniac was the coach of the Steelers for like 45 minutes, and the guy was just unbelievable about how he's able to throw some dots. Not a big arm, but I think Bird can scheme around not having a big arm, and he adds in that ability to take off and run a little bit. And I think that's what makes Bryce a bit dangerous, is even though he's not known to be a runner, you always have to have in the back of your mind on that 3rd and 6, that 3rd and 10 that he could take off, and so it sort of leaves you vulnerable in a lot of the passing game. So I think Sam Darnold should be a backup, as he is. I think Mr. Pickett should get the start. I don't see them getting an upset because of who you're playing. You're playing the Dallas Cowboys, and it's going to take you scheming up a great defense, which you can, and Pickett's going to have to play the game of his life. What do you think about that situation?
Yeah, I'm gonna kind of take it like you did too. Number two, no, I don't. I think you'd struggle if you had Bryce Young there. I think you'd struggle getting the victory. But
oh no, he's playing pretty good football.
Panthers with Kenny Pickett and Sam Darnold. I played with Pickett on all Madden. He stunk, but this is all pro. We're back on all pro now. So it definitely, I think he provides that scrambling ability that you see the Panthers kind of rely on Bryce Young to do, especially like you said, like on those third downs that everybody's back in coverage, and all of a sudden, like you kind of forgot the guy can scramble. I think Pickett kind of provides that. And he's also he's played with him a little bit already, so he's a little bit more familiar with that quarterback, because each quarterback does have a little bit different throw style than the other one. So he's got a little bit of rapport with him, and so I would definitely probably not switch that up unless you get an injury, then you got to go to Darnold. But I think if I looked at the stats, I think Pickett's already got like 3 touchdowns to 1 interception on like 30 attempts, so there's already a little bit of familiarity with Pickett, so stick with it. And I didn't mean for that to rhyme, but pick it and stick with it.
I just realized I left an A out of your name on accident. This is what happens when you try to quickly do things while you're actually streaming. And I guess a couple of months ago when I added his name, it's just Manic instead of Maniac. Bill, same thing as Bird. 1 question per submission, so I can mark these things for y'all properly. The thumbs up for you also means an extra point. Not that it matters, because Bill already has like 1,000 points. Question number 1, and then we got to wrap this show up because Nate's really got to go to the restroom. Which playoff favorite, let's say number 1 or number 2 or number 3 seed from either conference, is most vulnerable to a wild card or divisional round upset? We sort of talked about those a little bit. But what if you had to pick one, AFC, NFC, 1, 2, or 3 seed, who is most vulnerable?
Quickly, I think the Bucks. I think Washington, I think, would be the one I would think that would probably be able to upset that 3 seed there. Just quickly looking at it, and then also I guess if it stuck with what was there. The Chiefs also. I think both 3 seeds are the most vulnerable to lose right away.
Well, Chiefs will be down to a 5, I think. Hold on. Sorry. No, there's no way to mute before I had to do that. I would, if I had to pick somebody else, I'd say Bengals. I could see Denver like really wanting his buddy to win one and maybe backing off just a little bit. I mean, I'm not saying he will, I'm just saying I could see it. You know, it wouldn't shock me at all. So I'd say that one.
And Denver
Question
just
number
opens
2.
the door and says,
Say
"Go right ahead." No.
Yeah, I could see him like, you know, just not putting the pedal to the metal. Question number 2: Who are your AFC, NFC surprise wildcard teams in this year's playoff? A la number 7 seed number 7 seed Dolphins run to Super Bowl is what he meant in Madden 23. Are you meaning this playoff? I think that would be the question. And if you did mean this playoff, who would be my surprise to go for a run? Ooh, golly, that's a tough one.
Yeah.
Desperados? Even though I don't think it's realistic. Bird? We've seen Bird get on a hot streak. Don't think that's realistic with a backup. Commanders wouldn't shock me. I guess I'm not really picking one. If I absolutely, gun to my head, pick one, Ravens. That would shock me the least. Seahawks doesn't count, Kevin. It's a 14-win team as the number 5 seed. That's not a low team.
Yeah, I think as I was looking at that, I think Ravens and Desperados could be like the 2, maybe 1A, 1B teams to wouldn't shock me because I mean the one thing the Desperados they've had a really good offense. And in some games that you saw, he's put it together on defense, and his defensive line has taken over. But I just see the Ravens probably being the most capable of doing that.
All right, let's wrap this thing up. Closing thought, and then finally I can go to the restroom. Give me one final thought, Maniac, as we put a bow on this thing.
Shut it down. Let's go to the bathroom. No, I think it's going to be a great playoff, man. So looking forward to seeing these guys compete. And even though, like I said, I've got an opportunity to get in, I would be more happy if I missed out and was able to call games. I'm just being dead serious. I would be more ecstatic to go in and call a game than actually playing in the playoffs. Because to me, I think these matchups are going to be pretty exciting.
Yeah, I agree with you. Come play the Toilet Bowl. Loss puts in so much work into this league as a man who is very high up there in a very busy company doing some very big work, and yet he plays here with us, as most of you are. None of us are lazy sitting around with nothing to do, but just support the work that he's doing. So come play in the Toilet Bowl. If you're not in the playoffs, get those player snapshots out. Get ready to vote on some stuff. Come engage. The busy season of the business season, there's a tongue twister for you, is a ton of fun. It happens really, really fast, and come be plugged in, and hopefully Maniac and I can find some times where we can call some games and have some fun. It's hard, right? Because after a long day, I just want to unplug and not have to, entertain or do all the work it does to take a stream. I just want to play some shooters and turn my head off. But it's like during playoff time, it's time to sacrifice and call some more games. So for Maniac, for the board, thank you guys for a great season. Thank you for a great Press Pass Live. By the time we come back to you, we'll be deep in the playoffs. Probably shorter shows as we kind of break down how the games are going. I love you, and I really got to go pee, so I got to go. Bye, guys. Take care of yourselves. Take care of those around you. I love you. We'll see you in the next one.
Deuces.
Smash that like and subscribe.